Rain crashed onto Detroit's battered streets, a dark corner where Officer Don Wheeler, 42, white, stocky, swung his badge like a fist. Jamal Tate, 15, black, thin, eyes fierce, was just a kid until Don pinned him. One soaked summer night, Don beat an old man bloody, and when Jamal stepped in, Don slammed him down, cuffs biting, framing him for assault. The judge bought it, juvie no appeal. Don didn't know a girl filmed it shaky but clear, or that Jamal taught kids to read, keeping them clean. Didn't know karma struck swift. Days later, Jamal rose and Don's badge crashed. They messed with the wrong one. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe. Detroit's summer pressed down like a wet blanket, the air sticky and alive with the drone of cicadas cutting through the cracked streets of a neighborhood clinging to the edge. Jamal Tate called it home. 15, black, wiry, his short hair plastered under a faded tiger's cap. He moved fast, his sneakers soles flapping, tapping the pavement as he weaved past sagging row houses and rusted cars up on blocks. His eyes, dark and quick, caught it all. The flicker of a dying street lamp, the creak of a busted gate, the kids chasing a flat ball down an alley. He lived with his grandma, Miss Ruth, in a peeling rental, 2 rooms and a stoop where her rocking chair groaned under her weight. She'd raised him since his mom overdosed when he was 6, her hands rough but warm when she pulled him close. Jamal didn't talk big, didn't need to. School was a grind, teachers half checked out, but he passed, his pencil scraping through algebra under a buzzing bulb. Out here was where he lived, the streets his map, dodging the corner crews with his head low, but never bent. He found joy in scraps. Miss Ruth's radio crooning Marvin Gaye, her collards when she scored greens, the kids' laughs when he tossed them a stick to play with. His jeans were patched, his backpack frayed, but he carried enough to keep going. He had a secret, though, the reading spot, tucked behind the old laundromat, a concrete patch choked with weeds. He'd sit with a pile of library books, torn comics, worn novels, teaching the little ones. Ty, 8, loud with a missing tooth. Lila, 10, quiet with braids, a handful of others who'd drift in. Try it again, he'd say, voice steady, pointing at dog or bird until they got it. He'd slip them crackers from his lunch, never expecting a word back. He didn't tell Miss Ruth, didn't boast. It was his quiet war, keeping them off the streets, giving them what he'd fought to learn. Then there was Don Wheeler, 42, white, a cop built thick and hard, his buzzed hair graying, his badge a crown he wore heavy. He led the precinct's patrol, 3 other white cops, tight as a fist, their cruiser rumbling through the block like a threat. Don didn't just walk. He loomed, his voice a growl that sliced the night. Move it! He'd snap at kids like Jamal, his hand on his club, his cold blue, eyes picking out anyone who didn't match his rules. He'd been here too long, 15 years, long enough to own every shadow, long enough to despise most of them. Don ran it cruel. He'd shake down store owners for protection, his palm open, his chuckle sharp when they coughed up cash. He'd pin kids for nothing, loitering, jaywalking, his knee grinding into their backs, muttering, "You people don't get it." The precinct loved him. Chief called him reliable, a pass for his rough hands. His crew mirrored him. Hayes jittery with a buzz cut, Klein quiet but hard, Russo smirking like it was fun. They'd roll up, lights flashing, and the street would empty, Don's reign, unspoken but absolute. Jamal knew him too well. Last month, Don stopped him for suspicious behavior, carrying a library book home, and patted him down rough, his grip bruising, his breath stale. "Watch yourself, boy," Don sneered, shoving him off. Jamal's fists clenched in his pockets. But he stayed silent, his jaw tight, his mind filing it away. One kid stuck close, Ty from the reading spot. His mom pulled diner shifts, his dad long gone, and he'd tagged Jamal like a pup. Once, Ty dropped his comic in the dirt, eyes welling, and Jamal wiped it clean, handing it back. "You're fine," he said, and Ty's smile flashed. Jamal didn't say how he'd skipped a meal to get Ty a pencil, or stayed late when Lila stumbled over Cat. It was his thing, unseen, unasked, but tension simmered. Don's crew had been heavier lately, their stops meaner, their cruiser idling too long. Jamal caught rumors, folks dragged off for less than nothing, Don's fuse shorter. One evening, He saw Don hassling old Mr. Carter, a vet selling papers, his cane wobbling as Don barked. Jamal paused, his breath sharp, then moved on, eyes low but alive. The edge was near. Don thought he ran this world. Thought Jamal was just another punk to break. He didn't see the steel in the kid's spine, the kids he lifted, the eyes watching back. The air thickened, rain brewing, and Jamal walked home, his shadow lean in the dim light, the storm ready to crack. The rain came down hard that night, a Friday in late July, turning Detroit's streets into rivers of mud and noise. Jamal Tate, 15, ducked under the awning of a corner store, his Tiger's cap dripping, his backpack slung low. He'd just left the reading spot. Ty and Lila had nailed Fish and Jump, their grins bright despite the storm, and he was cutting home quick, the air electric with thunder. The block felt off, though. Cruisers prowled slow, their lights slicing through the wet dark, and Jamal's gut tightened. He pulled his hood up, his sneakers squishing, keeping to the shadows. That's when it hit. Old Mr. Carter, the vet with the cane, stood under a street lamp selling papers, his coat soaked, his gray hair plastered to his skull. Don Wheeler's cruiser rolled up, tires hissing, and Don stepped out. 42, white broad, his uniform crisp despite the rain. His crew stayed in the car, headlights glaring. But Don didn't need them. "You got a permit for this?" he barked, snatching a soggy newspaper from Mr. Carter's hand, crumpling it. The old man flinched, his voice shaky. "Just making a buck, officer." Jamal froze. Half a block away, his breath shallow. Don loomed over Mr. Carter, his club tapping his palm. "This ain't your corner," he sneered, shoving the old man back. Mr. Carter stumbled, his cane clattering, and Don swung. Once, twice, his club cracking against the man's shoulder, then his ribs. "You people don't listen." Don growled, his face red, rain streaking his buzz cut. Mr. Carter crumpled, a groan escaping, papers scattering in the mud. Jamal's fists balled, his nails digging in. He'd seen Don rough folks up, store owners' kids, but this was different raw. He stepped forward, his voice cutting through the storm. "Hey, leave him alone." It wasn't loud, but it carried sharp and steady. Don's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing, a predator spotting prey. "What did you say, boy?" He spat, turning fast, club raised. Jamal didn't back down. Couldn't. He moved closer, his sneakers slipping, putting himself between Don and Mr. Carter. "He ain't huttin' nobody," he said, his jaw tight, eyes locked on Don's. The cop laughed, a harsh bark, and swung. His club caught Jamal's arm, pain flaring hot, but Jamal didn't drop. He shoved back, not hard, just enough to push Don off Mr. Carter, his thin frame shaking with adrenaline. That's when Don flipped. "You little punk," he roared, lunging, his meaty hands slamming Jamal into the pavement. Mud splashed, the cuffs snapped on, too tight, biting Jamal's wrists, and Don yanked him up, his breath hot. "Assaulting an officer, your ass is done." Hayes and Klein piled out of the cruiser now, boots thudding, pinning Jamal as he thrashed, his cap tumbling off. "I didn't." Jamal started, but Don's knee crushed into his back, silencing him. Mr. Carter wheezed, clutching his side, but Don ignored him, dragging Jamal to the cruiser. The old man's eyes met Jamal's, fear, guilt, and Jamal shook his head, a quick, "I'm okay," before the door slammed. Inside, Don gloated, his voice smug over the radio crackle. "Got a live one, resisting assault. Book him." Hayes smirked, Klein nodded, Russo grinned from the wheel. They'd won, they thought. But across the street, a girl watched, 16, maybe her braids tucked under a hood, her phone shaky in her hands. She'd been heading home, saw it start, and hit record. The video caught it all, Don's club, Jamal's stand, the cuffs, the lies. Her breath hitched, but she kept filming, her thumb trembling, the rain blurring the lens, but not the truth. Jamal's head throbbed, his arm bruised, as the cruiser rolled to the precinct. The pain wasn't just physical. Miss Ruth would hear, Ty and Lila would wonder, his books would sit unread. He'd lost something. Freedom for a night, maybe more. His chest burned, not with hate, but hurt. Why him? Why now? Don sat up front, his shoulders square, thinking he'd crushed another problem, his badge untouchable. They hauled Jamal in, the precinct a blur of fluorescent lights and stale air. The desk sergeant, a tired white guy, didn't look up. "Assaulting an officer," Don said, shoving Jamal forward, his grip bruising. "Juvenile, fix him." Jamal's voice broke through, hoarse. "I was helping him, you saw." Don backhanded him, quick and hard, splitting his lip. "Shut it," he snapped, and the sergeant nodded. "Paperwork done. Cell waiting." In the holding pen, Jamal slumped against the wall, cuffs off but wrists raw. His breath shook, his lips stung, blood mixing with rain on his chin. He thought of Mr. Carter, crumpled in the mud, of Ty's grin when he read Fish. He'd stood up, right thing, wrong time, and now he was here, locked up, the system swallowing him whole. Don thought he'd won, his boots echoing as he strutted out, his crew trailing, their laughs bouncing off the concrete. But Jamal wasn't broken. His eyes burned, not with tears, but fire, quiet, steady. He didn't know about the video, didn't know the girl had run home, her phone clutched tight, didn't know his kindness, those hours with the kids, those books, had eyes watching, hearts rooting. Don thought he'd silenced him, buried him in a cell. He didn't see the storm turning, the truth clawing free. Jamal sat, his back straight, his fists clenched. Not done, not yet. The precinct cell smelled of rust and sweat. A concrete box where Jamal Tate sat, 15, his back against the cold wall, his wrists red from Don's cuffs. Don crept through a barred window, gray light mixing with the ache in his bruised arm and the sting of his split lip. Hours had passed since the rain-soaked night, since Don Wheeler, 42, white, smug, had slammed him down and framed him for assault. Jamal's Tiger's cap was gone, lost in the mud, his backpack still at the scene, his mind racing. Miss Ruth didn't know yet. She'd be up soon, frying eggs, wondering why he wasn't home. His chest tightened, but his eyes stayed dry, fixed on the chip floor. Outside, the machine churned fast. Don swaggered back to the precinct desk, his uniform damp, his voice loud as he dictated to the sergeant. "Kid's a thug," swung at me, resisting all the way. He lied, his crew nodding, Hayes twitching, Klein's stone-faced, Russo smirking. The sergeant typed it up, barely glancing at Jamal through the bars. "Court's at 8, he muttered, stamping the report. Don leaned in, his breath sour. "Judge'll bury him. Juvie's too soft for this one." He thought it was over, his badge gleaming, his control iron tight. Court came quick, a cramped room downtown, the air stale with coffee and old wood. Jamal stood in borrowed sweats, too big, gray, cuffs swapped for a guard's grip on his arm. The judge, a white guy, 60s, balding, peered over glasses, his gavel resting like a threat. Don sat up front, arms crossed, his story locked in. He attacked me while I was detaining a suspect. No mention of Mr. Carter, no hint of the truth, just a clean lie, delivered with a cop's weight. Jamal's public defender, a frazzled woman in a cheap suit, barely spoke. 5 minutes prep, a mumbled, "Plead guilty" in his ear. "I didn't do it," Jamal hissed, his voice low, but she shrugged. "They've got witnesses." The gavel fell fast. 3 years in juvenile detention, no bail, no appeal. Assaulting an officer's serious son, the judge droned, his eyes flicking to Don, who nodded like it was routine. Jamal's stomach dropped, his fists clenching, but he didn't shout, didn't give them that. The guard yanked him up, his sneakers dragging as they hauled him out, Don's smirk burning into his back. Miss Ruth wasn't there, couldn't be, no phone call, no time, and Jamal felt it, the weight of alone, sinking deep. But cracks were forming. Across the block, the girl with the phone, Lena, 16, braids tight, her hands still shaky. Ran home that night, her video saved, 30 seconds of raw truth. Don's club swinging, Mr. Carter falling, Jamal stepping in, Don's attack. She'd hit it, scared, but showed her older brother, Marcus, 22, a mechanic with a temper and a heart. "This ain't right," he said, jaw tight, replaying it, the rain, the thud, Don's snarl clear as day. Lena nodded, her voice small. "He's just a kid." Marcus grabbed his keys. "We're talking this somewhere." Word crept out, too. Ty and Lila showed up at the laundromat next morning, books in hand, but Jamal wasn't there. "Where's he at?" Ty asked, his voice high, kicking a pebble. Lila frowned, clutching her comic. Miss Ruth heard from a neighbor. Cops took him, no details, and stormed the precinct, her cane tapping, her voice sharp. "Where's my boy?" The desk cop shrugged. Court already happened, and she sank into a chair, her hands trembling, praying under her breath. Don didn't see it coming. Back at the station, he cracked a beer with Hayes, laughing about teaching manners. "Kid'll learn his place," he said, his boots up, his badge glinting. He didn't know Marcus had copied the video, didn't know Lena's hands shook less now, her resolve hardening. Didn't know Jamal's quiet good. Those reading hours had left a mark. Ty told his mom, a diner waitress, how Jamal gave him crackers, taught him fish. Lila's dad, a janitor, remembered Jamal fixing his daughter's torn book with tape. Whispers grew, small, fierce, folks asking what did he do? Jamal sat in the cell, his breath steadying, his mind turning. The guard had shoved him in, the door clanging, but he didn't slump, didn't break. He thought of Mr. Carter, hoped he was okay, pictured Ty sounding out jump. His lip throbbed, his arm ached, but his spine stayed straight. He didn't know about Lena, about Marcus, about Miss Ruth banging her cane. Didn't know the street was waking up, eyes narrowing, voices rising. Tension coiled tight. Marcus hit the block, showing the video to anyone who'd look. Corner guys, shopkeepers, a preacher with a loud voice. "This is our kid," he said, the screen shaking in his hand, Don's club swinging in grainy light. Lena tagged along, her hood up, her phone a weapon now. Miss Ruth called her pastor, her voice breaking, and he promised, "We'll fight this." Don's crew rolled past, oblivious, their cruiser loud, their smirks easy. They thought they'd won, thought Jamal was just another name on a file. But he wasn't. In the cell, Jamal traced a crack in the wall with his finger, his lip bleeding slow, his eyes burning quiet. He'd stood up, right thing, wrong system, and they'd locked him for it. Don thought he'd crushed him, buried him in concrete and lies. He didn't hear the hum outside, the footsteps gathering, the video spreading, didn't feel the air shift, the storm doubling back. Jamal didn't know it yet, but his fight wasn't over, his kindness, his stand, was lighting a fuse. The juvie intake room buzzed with harsh light, a gray slab where Jamal Tate, 15, sat on a metal bench, his wrists raw, his split lip crusted with blood. Saturday morning, barely 12 hours since Don Wheeler, 42, white, brutal, had slammed him into the mud and framed him for assault. His borrowed sweats hung loose, his sneakers gone, replaced by thin socks on the cold floor. The guard, a beefy guy with a buzz cut, tossed him a number 1432 and grunted, "Move it." Jamal stood, his arm throbbing from Don's club, his breath short, but his eyes stayed sharp, tracing the cracks in the tile as they marched him to a holding cell. Inside, the walls closed in, concrete, scratched with names, a single bulb flickering overhead. He slumped against the bunk, the thin mattress creaking, his mind spinning. Miss Ruth's face flashed, her rocking chair empty, her eggs cold. Ty and Lila waiting at the laundromat, books unopened. Mr. Carter crumpled in the rain, his cane snapped. Jamal's fists clenched, his nails biting his palms. Not rage, not yet just a deep hollow ache. He'd stood up, taken the hit, and now he was here, locked up, labeled, alone. The guard's keys jangled outside, a taunt, and Jamal shut his eyes, his lips stinging, his hope fraying. Outside, the block erupted. Lena, 16, braids tight, had run to Marcus with the video. 30 seconds of Don's club swinging, Mr. Carter falling, Jamal stepping in, Don's attack. Marcus, 22, wiry, pissed, hit the streets, showing it to anyone with ears. "Look at this," he yelled outside the bodega, the screen shaky but damning, Don's voice snarling. "You people don't listen." The shopkeeper, a grizzled Puerto Rican named Rico, squinted, then cursed. "That's Carter and Jamal? That kid's good people." Marcus nodded, his jaw tight. "We're not letting this slide." The video spread, phone to phone, grainy but loud. Ty's mom, wiping tables at the diner, saw it on a cook's screen, her hands shaking. "That's the boy who helped my Ty read," she whispered, her apron stained, her eyes wet. Lila's dad, sweeping the school, caught it from a teacher, Jamal's shove, Don's knee, and dropped his broom. "He ain't no thug." Miss Ruth got it last, her pastor rushing over, phone in hand. She watched her cane trembling and rasped, "My baby stood up and they did this?" The pastor gripped her shoulder. We're going to the precinct now. Don didn't feel it yet. He lounged at the station, boots up, sipping coffee with Hayes, his crew sprawled around. Kids locked tight. Judge ate it up, he bragged, his badge glinting, his laugh rough. Klein nodded, Russo chuckled, Hayes twitched. Business as usual. They didn't know Marcus had hit the barber shop, the preacher's stoop, the corner crew, every screen now flashing their lie. Didn't know Rico called a cousin at the local news, a stringer named Javi, who jumped at the clip. This is gold, Javi muttered, uploading it, the views ticking up 50, 100, 500 in an hour. Jamal hit bottom in that cell. The guard shoved a tray through gray slop, a plastic spoon, and sneered, "Eat, punk." Jamal didn't touch it, his stomach churning, his arm a dull ache. He saw Don's smirk, the judge's gavel, the cuffs, each a brick walling him in. He thought of Ty's fish, Lila's jump, small wins he'd built now slipping away. Was it worth it? He whispered, his voice cracking, the bowl buzzing above. He didn't cry, wouldn't, but his shoulders sagged, his head dipping, the fight flickering low. Then the tide turned. Miss Ruth stormed the precinct, her cane banging, her pastor trailing with a dozen folks, Ty's mom, Lila's dad, Rico, all shouting. "Where's Jamal Tate?" she demanded, her voice cutting through the desk cop's shrug. "Let him go." Marcus burst in, phone raised, the video blaring, Don's club, Jamal's stand, the truth unmissable. The sergeant paled, "Wait here," but the crowd swelled, spilling outside, chants rising, "Free Jamal! Free Jamal!" Javi's post hit the news site, headlines screaming, "Cop beats kid, frames him," and phones buzzed citywide, shares spiking. Don's coffee paused mid-sip, his radio crackling. "Wheeler, get downtown, trouble at the station," the dispatcher barked. He frowned. "What trouble?" Hayes checked his phone, his twitch stopping cold. "Boss, it's us. Video's out." Don snatched it, his face draining. There he was, club swinging, Jamal falling, his lie exposed. That little he started, but Russo cut in. Crowds growing. Klein stood, silent, his eyes darting. Don's badge fell heavy now, his smirk gone, his gut twisting. Jamal didn't hear it, the chants, the phones, the storm breaking. He sat, his back to the wall, his breath slow, his lip bleeding fresh when he touched it. He didn't know Miss Ruth was there, her cane a war drum, or that Marcus had lit the fuse, Lena's video the spark. Didn't know his kindness, those quiet hours with Ty, Lila, the kids, had rallied them, turned whispers to roars. He felt the dark, the weight, the cell, but his eyes open, narrow, and hard. He wasn't done. Don stormed out, his crew trailing, the precinct doors rattling with shouts. He thought he'd crushed Jamal, thought the system had his back. He didn't see the tide, Miss Ruth's glare, Marcus's fist, Javi's camera rolling live. Didn't feel the ground shift, the walls closing in. Jamal sat, his fists uncurling, his spine stiffening, the air humming with something new. Not defeat, but a spark ready to catch. The precinct doors rattled under a Saturday noon sun, Detroit's heat mixing with the roar of a crowd. 50, 60 strong. Miss Ruth at the front, her cane slamming the pavement, her voice a blade. "Let my boy go," she shouted, her pastor beside her, Marcus waving Lena's phone, the video looping loud. Don Wheeler's club cracking Mr. Carter's ribs, Jamal stepping in, Don's brutal takedown. Jamal Tate, 15, sat in his juvie cell, oblivious, his bruised arm resting on the bunk, his split lip throbbing, his eyes tracing the ceiling. He didn't know the storm had broken. Outside, Don stormed up, 42 white, his badge dull in the glare, his crew, Hayes, Klein, Russo, flanking him, their faces tight. "What's this shit?" he barked, shoving through, but Marcus met him, the video blaring. "This you, huh?" Marcus snapped, his voice raw, the screen showing Don snarl. "You people don't listen." The crowd surged, Ty's mom yelling, "That's a lie." Rico shouting, "We saw it." Phones flashing, Javi's news camera rolling live, the clip now at 10,000 views and climbing. Inside, Jamal heard a clang, keys boots, and the guard yanked the cell open. "Up, Tate," he grunted, his face sour. Jamal stood, slow, his socks slipping, his heart thudding. "What's happening?" he rasped, but the guard shoved him forward, no answer. Down the hall, the noise hit. Chants, shouts, Miss Ruth's voice piercing through. "Jamal!" she called, and his knees buckled, his breath catching. He didn't know yet. Didn't know Lena's shaky 30 seconds had torn Don's lie wide open. The precinct buckled. The sergeant, sweating, faced Miss Ruth's glare. Marcus's proof, the pastor's demand. Release him now. Javi's feed hit the station's TV. Cop caught framing teen, and the chief, a gray-haired white guy, stormed in, his tie loose. Wheeler, what the hell? He snapped, grabbing Don's arm. Don stammered, he swung first, but the video played on every screen, his club swinging, Jamal falling, the crowd's boos drowning him. Hayes twitched, Klein froze, Russo's grin faded, they were sinking fast. Jamal stumbled into the lobby, the guard's grip loosening, and Miss Ruth ran. Kane dropped, arms wide, hugging him tight, her tears hot on his neck. My baby, she whispered, and he clung back, his bruised arm aching, his lip bleeding fresh. Marcus pushed through. You good, man? And Jamal nodded, dazed, the crowd parting, Ty's mom, Lila's dad, Rico, all their eyes wet, fists raised. We got you, Rico said, and Jamal's throat closed, his chest heaving. The truth hit hard. The chief snatched Don's badge, his voice low, lethal. You're done. Suspended, investigation starts now. Don's face crumpled. This is bullshit. But Klein stepped back. Hayes looked away. Russo shrank, their pack cracking. The sergeant fumbled papers. Charges dropped, and the guard uncuffed Jamal, his wrists free, red but unbroken. Javi's camera zoomed. Don's fall, Jamal's rise, live for the city to see. Then the kindness broke through. Ty ran up, his gap-toothed grin wide. You taught me fish, he yelled, hugging Jamal's leg. Lila followed, braids bouncing. And jump, you didn't tell nobody. Their parents stepped in. Ty's mom, voice soft, he gave my boy snacks, kept him straight. Lila's dad fixed her book when I couldn't. Miss Ruth turned, her eyes shining. He's been teaching kids, quiet-like, all this time. The crowd hushed, then cheered. A wave of claps, shouts, Jamal's good unseen, now loud. Jamal stood, his sweats sagging, his arm limp, but his spine straightened. He didn't expect this. The video, the fight, the love. I just helped Mr. Carter, he said, his voice rough, and Marcus clapped his shoulder. You did more than that. Lena slipped forward, hood down, her phone still in hand. I saw it. I had to, she said, and Jamal met her eyes, a quiet thanks, all he could muster. The crowd roared again. Jamal, Jamal. Not a thug, not a number, but their kid. Don staggered back, his badge gone, his crew scattering. This ain't over, he yelled, but his voice broke, the chief shoving him aside. It's over, IA's coming, the chief snapped, and Don's hands shook, his empire ash. The precinct doors swung wide, the crowd spilling in, pastor praying, Rico cursing, Javi filming, and Don shrank, his snarl empty, his power stripped. He'd framed Jamal. Thought he'd win, didn't see the video, didn't feel the street turn. Jamal stepped out, Miss Ruth's arm around him, the sun hot on his face. His lip hurt, his arm pulsed, but he walked free, tall. He didn't know how fast it had flipped. Lena's clip, Marcus's fire, his own quiet stand, but it had. Ty tugged his sleeve. You coming back to read? And Jamal nodded, a small smile breaking, his first since the rain. Don thought he buried him, thought the system was his. He didn't hear the cheers, didn't see Jamal rise, didn't feel karma crash, swift, sharp, final. The sun blazed over Detroit's cracked streets that Saturday afternoon, the precinct steps still buzzing as Jamal Tate, 15, stepped out, his borrowed sweat sagging, his bruised arm limp but free. Miss Ruth clung to his side, her cane back in hand, her eyes wet but fierce. The crowd, Marcus, Lena, Ty's mom, Lila's dad, Rico, dozens more, parted for him, their cheers fading to murmurs, then claps, a rhythm of relief and rage. Jamal's split lip stung, his socks slipped on the pavement, but he walked, head up, spine straight, his breath steady for the first time since Don Wheeler's club came down. Inside, Don crumpled, 42, white, his badge gone, his uniform suddenly too big. The chief had torn it off, literally the pin snapping, his voice ice. You're off the force, Wheeler. IA's got you Monday. Don's crew scattered. Hayes twitching to the door, Klein staring at the floor, Russo muttering, I didn't swing. The precinct hummed with chaos. Phones ringing, the sergeant shredding Don's report, Javi's camera catching every flinch. Don slammed a fist on the desk. This is a setup, but his voice cracked, his face pale, sweat beading on his buzz cut. The chief shoved him back. You set yourself up, video don't lie. Outside, Jamal's world shifted. Miss Ruth pulled him to the stoop, her pastor praying loud, hands raised. Justice done? As folks gathered tight, Marcus grinned, slapping Jamal's shoulder. You beat him, man. Lena hung back, her phone now a hero, her braids peeking from her hood. Ty ran up, his gap tooth flashing. You okay? And Jamal nodded, ruffling his hair, his throat tight. Lila slipped him a comic, Spider-Man, torn but taped. You dropped this, she said, and he took it, his fingers brushing the pages he'd taught her from. Don's fall sped up. The news hit hard. Javi's clip looped on every station. Officer Frame's team caught on tape, views spiking past 50,000. IA rolled in early, 2 suits, stone-faced, hauling Don's logs, his crews too. Hayes cracked first. I just followed orders, his twitch wild. Klein stayed mute, Russo tried charm. It's a misunderstanding. The chief didn't buy it. Suspensions for all, badges yanked, a press release drafted. Misconduct won't stand. Don sat in a side room, his hands shaking, his snarl gone. Alone, small, a king dethroned. Jamal didn't see it. He didn't need to. He sank onto the stoop, Miss Ruth beside him, her collards promised for dinner. The block watched, Rico locking his shop, Ty's mom wiping tears, Lila's dad nodding slow. You're something, kid, Rico said, his voice rough, and Jamal shrugged. Just did what I could. But it was more. Ty's mom stepped up. He fed my boy, taught him words. Her diner apron crumpled in her fist. Lila's dad added, kept her off the street every day. Miss Ruth's eyes widened. You didn't tell me, and Jamal ducked his head. Wasn't a big thing. It was, though. The pastor spread it. Jamal's reading spot, his crackers, his hours, and folks nodded, piecing it. That's why we fought, Marcus said, his voice firm, the video still in his pocket. Lena nodded. He's good, really good. The crowd thickened, kids, parents, even corner guys murmuring his name. Not loud, but steady. Jamal's chest eased, his lip twitching into a half-smile, his arm still aching but lighter. He didn't chase this, didn't want the noise, but it found him real and raw. Don felt the weight. IA dragged him out, cuffs on his wrists, not Jamal's this time, his crew trailing, heads low. The news van caught it, Javi narrating. Officer Wheeler, once a precinct staple, now faces charges, assault, falsifying reports. The crowd jeered, Rico spitting, rot pig, and Don's shoulders slumped, his eyes darting, no fight left. His badge was trash, his reign dust, karma swift, cutting deep. He'd thought Jamal was nothing, a punk to break. He didn't see the street turn, didn't hear the kids, he'd ignored cheer for the one he'd caged. Jamal stood. Slow, Miss Ruth's hand on his back. Home, she said, and he nodded, the block alive around him. Tyke kicking a ball, Lila reading aloud, Marcus guarding the video like gold. Mr. Carter limped up, his ribs taped, his cane new. You saved me, son. And Jamal met his eyes. You day, done it too. The old man gripped his shoulder, a quiet thanks, and hobbled off, papers under his arm. The precinct emptied, Don's cruiser towed, his crew's lockers cleared. The chief faced the press. We're cleaning house, but the block didn't care. They had Jamal free, theirs. He walked home, his socks damp, his sweats loose, but his step sure. Ty tagged along, you teaching tomorrow? And Jamal said, yeah, his voice soft, steady. Lila waved her comic, I got web now. And he grinned, small but real. Don sat in a holding cell, ironic, cold, his fists useless, his lies ash. He'd swung, he'd framed, he'd lost, fast, final. Jamal didn't gloat, didn't need to. He'd stood up, taken the hit and won, not loud, not proud, just right. The street hummed, the sun sank, and he went home. Miss Ruth's collards waiting, his books still there, his fight settled. Karma had spoken, Don's badge gone, Jamal's heart whole. Sunday morning broke soft over Detroit, a quiet heat settling on the block where Jamal Tate, 15, sat on Miss Ruth's stoop, his bruised arm wrapped in a bandage she'd taped herself. His split lip scabbed over, his borrowed sweats swapped for patched jeans and a clean shirt, still his, still frayed. The air smelled of collards simmering inside, Miss Ruth's radio humming gospel low, and Jamal leaned back, his tiger's cap lost, but his eyes clear. Yesterday's chaos, Don Wheeler's fall, the precinct storm, his walkout, felt distant, but the ache lingered, a bruise deeper than his skin. The street woke slow, then loud. Ty bounced up first, his gap-toothed grin flashing, a beat-up ball in hand. "Jamal, you're back," he yelled, dropping it to hug him, skinny arms tight. Jamal ruffled his hair. "Told you I'd be," his voice rough but warm. Lila trailed behind, her braids neat, a library book, Charlotte's Web clutched close. "I read Pig last night," she said shy, and Jamal nodded. "Good job." Their parents followed. Ty's mom in her diner apron, Lila's dad with his broom, eyes soft, hands full. "Brought you this?" Ty's mom said, a foiled tray of cornbread still hot. Lila's dad handed over a pencil, "For the kids." Miss Ruth stepped out, her cane tapping, her apron dusted with flour. "What's all this?" she asked, and Ty's mom smiled. "Your boy, he's been helping ours." She told it. How? Jamal skipped lunches to feed Ty, sat late teaching Lila words, kept them off corners. Lila's dad nodded, never asked a dime, fixed her book when it tore. Miss Ruth's hand flew to her chest. "Jamal Tate, you didn't say." He shrugged, his lip twitching. Wasn't much, but it was bigger than he'd known. Word spread fast. Marcus rolled up, Lena beside him. Her phone quiet now, but her grin wide. "You're the talk, man," Marcus said, leaning on his bike. "Folks saw the video, then heard the rest." Rico locked his bodega early, joining them, his voice gruff. "Knew you were solid, didn't know you were this." He jerked a thumb at Ty, bouncing the ball, kept him straight. The pastor arrived, his Sunday suit crisp, his voice booming. "This boy's a blessing." Stood up, lifted up. The block hummed, kids peeking from windows, corner guys nodding, a crowd growing, not loud but real. Jamal didn't chase it, didn't want the noise. He stood slow, his arms stiff, and Ty tugged his sleeve. "You teachin' today?" he asked, and Jamal nodded. "Yeah, after lunch." Lila held out her book. "Can we do web?" And he took it, his fingers brushing the pages. "Sure." Miss Ruth watched, her eyes shining, and pulled him close. "I'm proud, baby." He hugged back, his throat tight, his breath shaky. Not tears, just weight lifting, a warmth he hadn't felt. Across town, Don sank. The IA room was cold, a metal table where he sat. 42, white, his uniform gone, swapped for a cheap jacket. His badge was evidence now, his crew cut loose. Hayes snitching, Klein mute, Russo begging deals. The suits grilled him, videos clear, assault, false arrest, and Don's fists clenched. "That kid attacked me." But the tape played. His club, Jamal's stand, Mr. Carter's fall, and his voice faltered, his face ashen. Charges piled, assault, falsifying reports, misconduct, bail set, jail looming. He'd swung, he'd lied, and it had crashed hard. The news kept rolling, Javi's story hit TV. Teens' heroics topple cop, the clip replaying Jamal's name loud. The precinct scrambled, chief promising reform, suspension stacking, Don's photo a mugshot now. The block didn't care, they had Jamal, alive, theirs. Rico told the barber shop, "Kids gold, taught my nephew too." Ty's mom spread it at the diner, "He's why my boy reads." Lila's dad swept slower, not into folks. "He's ours." Jamal felt it, piece by piece. Mr. Carter limped over, his ribs still taped, his cane steady. "You took that hit for me," he said, his voice gravel, and Jamal met his eyes, had to. The old man gripped his hand, "You're better than most," and walked off, papers under his arm. Marcus sat beside him. "You didn't just win, you showed 'em," and Lena added, "They're talking about you everywhere." Jamal ducked his head. "I just did it," but his lip curved, a small smile breaking through. The stoop filled, kids with books, parents with thanks, the pastor praying soft. Ty bounced, "You're the best, Jamal," and Lila read aloud, PIG, her voice clear. Miss Ruth watched, her collards cooling, her pride loud. "You're my heart," she whispered, and he nodded, his arm resting easy now, his chest full, not loud, not proud, just real. He didn't need the cheers, Ty's grin, Lila's words, Mr. Carter's nod were enough. Don didn't hear it, didn't see it. Locked in a cell, his hands cuffed, his snarl silenced, he stared at the wall, his empire gone. The news echoed outside, cop falls, kid rises, but he didn't flinch, just sat, small, broken. He'd thought Jamal was nothing, a name to erase. He didn't feel the block lift, didn't know the kids he'd ignored now read because of the one he'd caged. Jamal stood, his shadow long in the sun, Miss Ruth's gospel humming behind him. He'd fought, quiet, steady, And they'd seen him, not the thug Don painted, but the kid who cared. The street settled, the crowd thinned, and he grabbed Charlotte's Web, Ty, and Lila trailing. "Let's read," he said, his voice firm, and they followed. Not a hero, just Jamal, recognized at last. Monday morning shimmered over Detroit, a warm haze settling on the block as Jamal Tate, 15, stood at the laundromat's back slab, his patched jeans dusty, his bruised arm still tender but moving. Miss Ruth had sent him out with a sandwich, ham, her last slice, and a firm, "You keep going, baby." His split lip scabbed tight, his eyes steady under a borrowed cap from Marcus, and he carried Charlotte's Web, its pages worn from Ty and Lila's hands. The street buzzed, kids kicking cans, radios humming, but it felt different, lighter, like the air after a storm. The reading spot grew. Ty showed up first, his ball swapped for a comic. X-Men creased but prized, his gap-toothed grin wide. "You teachin'?" he asked, and Jamal nodded. "Yeah, sit." Lila came next, her braids swinging. A new book, Matilda, tucked under her arm. "Got this from the library," she said, and Jamal smiled. "Small but real. Good pick." Then others trickled in, 6, 8, 10 kids, some he knew, some new, their sneakers scuffing the concrete, books, and scraps of paper in hand. "Heard you the guy." A wiry kid, Dre muttered, and Jamal shrugged. "Just readin' that." He started slow, his voice low, steady, pointing at run, fly, smart, the kids leaning in, their eyes bright. Ty sounded out storm. Lila nailed book. Dre stumbled but got fast with a grin. Jamal passed the sandwich around, torn into bits, enough for a bite each, and they ate quiet, focused. Miss Ruth watched from the stoop, her cane resting, her gospel off, her pride silent but thick. "He's buildin' something," she whispered to herself, and she was right. The block felt it. Ty's mom stopped by, her diner shift done, a bag of day-old rolls in hand. "For your crew," she said, and Jamal took a thanks. Lila's dad swung past, his broom idle. "They're talking about you at school. Kids want in." Marcus rolled up, Lena beside him. Her phone now a memory, her voice firm. "You're changing this place," she said, and Jamal ducked his head. "Just helping that." But it was more. Rico donated a box of pencils, the pastor preached Jamal's name Sunday, and even corner guys nodded, "Kid's legit." Jamal paid it forward, quiet-like. He gave Dre a pencil, "Keep it," and sat longer when a shy girl, Mia, stuttered over cat. He didn't ask for thanks. Didn't need it, just kept going, his books piling up, his spot a beacon. Ty started reading to his little sister, Lila lent Matilda to a friend, and Dre told his mom, "Jamal's cool, he don't yell." The street shifted, less fights, more pages turning, kids darting to the laundromat instead of corners. Miss Ruth saw it, her collards cooking, her smile rare but deep. "That's my boy." Dawn faded fast. Across town, the IA hearing hit. Monday, 9 a.m., a stark room where Donald Wheeler, 42, white, sat, his jacket wrinkled, his buzz cut dull. His badge was gone, his crew cut loose. Hayes took a deal, Klein quit, Russo faced his own charges. The suits laid it out. Assault, false arrest, evidence tampering, 6 months jail, 3 years probation. Don's fists balled. "I was doing my job," but the video played, his club, Jamal's fall, Mr. Carter's groan, and the gavel fell, cuffs snapping back on him. He'd ruled, he'd broken, he'd lost, swift, complete. The news barely blinked. Ex-cop jailed, teen vindicated. Javi's story a footnote now, the precinct scrubbing Don's name from logs. His cruiser sat impounded, his locker empty, his snarl a memory. The block didn't care, didn't need to. Rico spat his name once, gone, and that was it. Don sat in county, his cell gray, his hands idle, his reign erased. Karma cold, final. He'd thought Jamal was nothing, a speck to crush. He didn't see the roots spreading, the kids rising. Jamal's mark grew, not loud but lasting. Mr. Carter hobbled by, his ribs healing, a stack of papers under his arm. "You gave me a shot," he said, and Jamal nodded. "You're good now." The old man left $1, crisp, rare, "for your books," and Jamal tucked it away, his chest warm. Marcus started a watch. "Keeping this safe," he said, and Lena joined, her hood off. "They're learning cause of you." Jamal didn't argue, just taught, his voice steady, his arm easing, his lip healing slow. The pastor pushed it wider. Church donations bought a crate of books, holes. The giver dropped at the laundromat. Your legacy, he told Jamal, and the kid shrugged, just reading that. But Ty's mom saw her son spell. Hope, Lila's dad heard his girl read aloud, and Rico's nephew quit a crew. Jamal's better. The block turned. Small, real, a light where Don's shadow once fell. Miss Ruth cooked extra for your kids, and Jamal carried it, his step sure, his cap tilted. Don didn't know, didn't feel it. In his cell, the walls closed, his snarl mute, his name dust. The street didn't whisper it, didn't need to. Jamal sat, Charlotte's web open, Ty and Lila close, Dre and Mia sounding out words, their grins as win. He'd stood up, taken the hit, and built this. Not loud, not proud, just lasting. The sun dipped, the block hummed, and he taught. Quiet, steady, his legacy a page turned. A kid lifted, a street changed. Tuesday dawn painted Detroit gold. A quiet glow over the block as Jamal Tate, 15, sat on the laundromat slab, his patched jeans dusted with chalk, his bruised arm healing under Miss Ruth's bandage. His split lip faded to a thin line, his borrowed cap tilted, and he held Matilda, its pages soft from Lila's grip. The reading spot hummed. Ty, Lila, Dre, Mia, a dozen kids now, their books spread on the concrete, their voices stumbling over hope, dream, free. Jamal pointed, slow down, his tone steady, and they listened, their eyes bright, their sneakers scuffing closer. The block shifted, stronger, louder. Ty's mom started a petition at the diner, keep Jamal's spot going, her pen scratching names, Rico, Lila's dad, 10, 20 more. He's ours, she told customers, her roles free that day, her voice firm. Lila's dad swept the school, whispering to teachers, kids changing things, check it out. They did. 2 showed up, young, black, their notepads out, watching Jamal teach fly, nodding slow. Marcus guarded the slab, his bike parked, nobody messing with this, and Lena joined, her phone off, her hands folding flyers. Reading with Jamal, come see. The world beyond buzzed. Hobby's story hit national, CNN grabbed it. Teen framed by cop turns hero, the video looping, Don's club, Jamal's stand, the precinct storm. Views cracked 1 million, comments flooding, justice. Kid's a legend. And Detroit's mayor called oppressor, we're reviewing all cases, his tight, his eyes on the chief. The precinct scrambled, new rules rolled out, body cams, oversight, no more wheelers. Don's name vanished, files shredded, his mugshot a warning, his reign a ghost. Jamal's good rippled. The pastor's church raised cash, $200, then $500 for books, dropping holes, Esperanza, rising at the slab. You're bigger and he told Jamal, and the kid shrugged, just reading that. But Ty read to his sister every night now. Lila lent Matilda to Mia, and Dre's mom saw him write fast on her fridge. Jamal taught him. Rico's nephew quit the crew, rather be here, and the corner thinned. Less smoke, more kids darting to the laundromat, their books clutched tight. The response grew. A librarian, white, 30s glasses, rolled up, her van stuffed with donations. Heard about you, she said, unloading the giver. This is gold. Jamal took it. Thanks, his voice soft, and she stayed reading with Mia, her laugh mixing with theirs. The teachers came back. We're starting a club your way, and Jamal nodded. Cool. Miss Ruth watched, her collard simmering, her cane still. They're seeing you, baby. And he ducked his head, his lip twitching, a warmth spreading. Don's end solidified. County jail swallowed him, 6 months locked, his cell bare, his buzz cut dull, under fluorescent glare. IA closed it, assault, falsifying done, his crew scattered. Hayes on probation, Klein out, Russo fined. The news moved on, cop jailed, reforms pushed, and Don sat, his fists limp, his snarl dead. He'd swung at Jamal, thought he'd win, didn't see the world turn. Didn't hear the kids he'd ignored now reading, didn't feel the block forget him. Jamal's light spread wider. Mr. Carter limped by, his ribs better, a crate of papers sold. You started this, he said, and Jamal shrugged. You're good now. The old man left a 5-creased hard-earned for your kids, and Jamal tucked it in, his chest lifting. The mayor's office called Miss Ruth. We're funding a program, Jamal's name. And she laughed. He won't like that, but her pride rang. The librarian wrote it up, Detroit Free Press. Teens, quiet fight wins, and folks read, nodded, shared. The slab filled, 15 kids, then 20, their books piling, their voices rising. Ty spelled hero, Lila read smart, Dre grinned at run, and Mia whispered cat, her stutter fading. Jamal taut, his arm loose now, his cap steady, his sandwich split again. Small bites, big trust. Marcus handed out flyers, he's the real deal, and Lena smiled, they're learning cause at him. The teachers pitched in, we're talking this citywide, and Jamal said do it, his eyes calm, sure. The block changed, tighter, brighter. Rico stocked notebooks for Jamal's crew, and Ty's mom baked extra, he fed mine. Lila's dad told the school, he's why she reads, and the corner guys watched quiet. Kids got something to... Miss Ruth sat her gospel humming, he's my heart, and Jamal taught, his voice firm, his books worn, his spot a root digging deep. The world saw. CNN looped it, the mayor funded it, the librarian wrote it, but Jamal just read, his kids close, his fight quiet. Don didn't matter, didn't exist. In his cell, the walls pressed, his name ash, his badge of memory. The street didn't say it, didn't need to. Jamal stood, his shadow sharp, Matilda open, Ty and Lila leaning in. He'd stood up, taken the hit, and won. Now the world responded, not loud but real, his legacy spreading, his good alive. Tuesday dusk settled over Detroit, a soft orange glow bleeding across the block as Jamal Tate, 15, sat alone on the laundromat slab, his patched jeans chalky, his bruised arm loose under Miss Ruth's fading bandage. His split lip was a thin scar now, his borrowed cap tilted low, and he held Matilda, its spine cracked from a dozen kids' hands. The reading spot was empty, Ty, Lila, Dre, Mia all home, their books tucked away, and the street hummed quiet, a radio crooning Motown, a kid's laugh, the clink of Rico's shop gate. Jamal leaned back, his sneakers dangling, his breath slow, the weight of 5 days lifting like steam off the pavement. He traced it, Friday's rain, Don Wheeler's club cracking down, the mud, the cuffs, the cell. Saturday's storm, Miss Ruth's cane, Lena's video, Marcus's fire, the precinct cracking. Sunday's thanks, Ty's hug, Lila's book, Mr. Carter's nod. Monday's growth, kids piling in, pencils snapping, words blooming. Today's reach, the mayor's call, the librarian's crate, the world watching. His arm ached less, his lip didn't bleed, but the scar stayed, quiet, deep earned. He'd stood up, taken the hit, and come out, not loud, not proud, just here. Miss Ruth's voice cut through, Jamal, supper, and he glanced back, her silhouette in the window, collard steaming, her radio soft. He slid off the slab, Matilda under his arm, his step light, but sure. The block watched, Ty's mom waved from her stoop, Rico nodded from his gate, Lila's dad swept slow, his broom a salute. Marcus rode by, you good? And Jamal raised a hand, yeah. Lena trailed, her hood down, they're still talking, and he shrugged, let him. It wasn't about noise, it was Ty's hero, Lila's smart, Mia's cat, the kids breathing easier. Don was gone, erased. County jail held him, 42, white, his cell a gray box, his buzz cut dull, his hands cuffed to a bench. His badge was melted down, IA's order, his crew dust. Hayes paroled, Klein vanished, Russo fined and silent. The news forgot him, reforms roll out, a blip, and the precinct scrubbed him, his locker a shell, his name a curse spat once, then dropped. He'd swung, he'd framed, he'd fallen, karma cold, complete. In his cell he stared, his snarl dead, his world blank, Jamal a shadow he'd never grasp. The street lived. The pastor dropped a box, the giver holes, his voice warm. For tomorrow, Rico left pencils, keep it going, and Ty's mom baked rolls for your kids. Lila's dad told the school he's why she reads, and the librarian's story hit print. Teens fight turns page. The mayor's program launched, Jamal's name on a flyer, reading routes, $1,000 to start, and Miss Ruth laughed. They won't leave you alone, but her eyes shone. Jamal didn't chase it, just taught, his slab a root, his goods spreading quiet. He walked home, Matilda in hand, the block settling, kids inside, radios fading, the sun dipping low. Ty had spelled hope. Today, Lila read a full page. Dre grinned at run. Mia whispered dog clear. He'd split his sandwich again. Small bites, big trust. And they'd stayed, their books piling, their voices rising. Marcus guarded it, Lena spread it, the teachers built on it. Citywide now, they'd said. Jamal didn't need the noise, didn't want it, but it came real, steady, his fight echoing. Inside, Miss Ruth set the table, collards, cornbread, a candle flickering, the one she'd lit when he was gone. Sit, she said, and he did, his cap off, his hands resting. She touched his arm. "You're something, baby," and he nodded, "Just did what I could." She smiled rare and wide. "You did more." He ate, the collards warm, the candle glowing, his chest full, not loud, not proud, just right. He'd lost a night, a cap, a piece of skin, but gained this. A block alive, kids reading, a street his. The slab sat empty, the books stacked, a pencil tie forgot glinting in the dusk. Mr. Carter's cane tapped past, his papers sold, his ribs healing. Jamal's stand his lifeline. The corner thinned, less smoke, more steps to the laundromat, and the block breathed, its pulse stronger. The world saw, CNN faded, the mayor funded, the librarian wrote, but Jamal stayed, his shadow sharp, his books worn, his kids close. Don didn't matter, didn't exist. In county, his cell shrank, his hands idle, his name ash. The street didn't whisper it, didn't need to. Jamal finished supper, the candle low, and stood, Matilda on the table. "Night," he told Miss Ruth, and she hugged him, her hands firm. "Night, baby." He climbed the stairs, his sock soft, his arm free, and paused at the window, the block dark, the slab a silhouette, the kids' voices in his head. He didn't cry, didn't need to. His lips scarred, his arm mended, his fight won. Quiet, steady, lasting. The street slept, the world turned. And he lay down, the candle's glow fading below. One line lingered, soft, unspoken, etched in the dark. "You don't know you're good till it fights for you.